Coming to the last scene, honestly speaking, I have never seen a more dramatized chase and emotional climax than Satya. You would not expect someone who is very emotionally detached, strong, and blunt guy like Satya.
That's what love does, no? That's the whole problem. Yeah.
But that is very unlike your making and unlike your hero's persona.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's the whole point. The flaw in Satya was that he fell in love. See, if he didn't fall in love with Urmila, it is highly possible he could have, become a very big don. He would have
Right.
been still alive. I mean, in the context of the screenplay.
He could have
I'm
gotten
saying.
away.
Yeah, he would have gotten away because he would have wanted to preserve himself. But
Right.
there he exposed himself because of his love. So and obviously that kind of a guy would act like that.
Right. And coming to songs, I think two songs are very well placed and they add value to the overall proceedings of the story. One is Kallu Mama, which is iconic and it actually brings up the boldness and the comfort level that each of them have with each other. Yeah. That was very well placed. And Sapno Mein Aata Hai was another fantastic placed song. But others were slightly they were bolted on, not built.
Yeah, I would agree with that. See, at that time when Satya came out, the emphasis on songs was so humongous, and Bharat Bhai said, Ramu, we won't be able to promote the film if we don't have songs because there was nothing else except for music channels where we can promote films, So that was definitely, I agree with you. But there, especially, Tum Mere Paas Bhi Ho.
No, it's a melodious song, no doubt about it.
As a song, yeah, correct. Yeah, I think even I was, but in fact, Sandeep Chota did the background score. He was arguing with me, Ramu, don't have songs. What if Godfather has songs? It looked ridiculous. Which is true. I didn't have any logic. But later on, because the film became such a big cult hit and everything works after that.
Right. And what is the reason between choosing Vishal Bhardwaj for songs and Sandeep Chota for background?
See, Vishal, because Sandeep has done the theme. I love the tune. He's done by himself without even me asking. Because he's a common friend between me and Nagarjuna. So he played it in Nagarjuna's house, that theme. Which is the reason I took him. And at the time I took Sandeep, I didn't have intention of having songs.
Okay.
So then Sandeep was technically the music director. Then when I wanted to actually have songs, because I was very impressed with Vishal's work in Machis. And that is the reason I took him.
Right. Yeah. I think it made a great combo. Vishal's songs, melody, and Sandeep Chota is fantastic. You worked with him on multiple movies, so that worked out very well. And this is more related to the craft. Now, how do you see the sound design playing up into the overall BGM? And as an enthusiast, I always wondered where exactly do the collaboration takes place between the music director, the BGM music director, and the sound designer. I think H. Sridhar, who worked for A.R. Rahman, was the designer behind Satya. I think he's phenomenal. I'm a big fan of Panchatanin and the works that came out of it. So I'm just curious, where do you see the collaboration?
They won't be really a connection as much as what you feel. So Sridhar is a great engineer. The point is, once the music director does his work, he rarely is involved with the mixing.
Okay.
Now the mixing engineer will decide where to up the music or close the music or which sound to put or how to play the dialogue is done by the mixing engineer. I'm very, very particular about being in the mixing. Mostly I take the decision.
Okay.
But many times, and on an instinctive level, for example, in the interval sequence, when Makaran says, "Tu samjha nahi apne tande ko, ek gaya to sab jayega." When he says that line, the interval card comes there. Okay, there when the constantly the tang that is repeating, the moment he finished the dialogue, see that push the groove up. That created goosebumps everywhere. Now that is an instinct. You can't really say anybody who's not a part of the thing will never know whether it is a mixing engineer or the director or X or Y or whatever. The
Do they ever
mixing,
sit on
yeah.
the same table, like the sound designer and the music composer?
No, no. See, mixing engineer almost is like the director, finally.
Okay.
Only guy who can probably bypass him or overrun him is a director.
Okay.
The sound designer and the music director have got nothing with the mixing engineer. Yeah. Because they do their job and they give the tracks. He plays around with all the levels and whatever he wants to do to create something. Actually, mixing engineer is a much more of a creative person, but he's never been recognized as an art. For this reason, there's not really a proper understandable award for him.
So to get this right, the sound designer watches the movie independently and creates a track of ambient sounds and natural sounds.
He will create that.
Okay.
But how they're used is up to the mixing.
Okay. So he gets the input from the...
He just gives all the tracks, whatever he thinks should be there or not or whatever. And he might use some creative aspects. Like, for example, Dwarag Warrior, a sound designer. For Booth, he used a lot of industrial sounds.
Right.
Not music. It's just like factory sounds and machines and things like that. That is creative aspect of the sound designer.
Right.
But how they're used, whether they're used or not, is final call taken by the...
So who worked on the mixing for Satya?
Sridhar.
Oh, okay. So he was a sound designer plus the mixer. Okay.
He is not sound designer.
Okay.
He's only mixer.
Okay. Great. And coming to cinematography, you initially worked with Gerard Hooper. I think he worked for a couple of weeks and then it got handed over to Mazhar Kamran, right? So why was that and who introduced you to Jerry?
Jerry was introduced to me by a man called Kannan, an assistant director who did it in the film school in New York when Gerard was a teacher.
Kannan was your assistant director?
Yeah.
Okay,
so I thought it'd be interesting to see it from a foreigner's point of view, which is the reason I took him. And once we started, we had some issues of visa and blah, blah, whatever. And that time the underworld activity was too much and we had to, at a point of time, stop shooting. So we couldn't continue the schedule. So there was differences. So because of that, he left. And this guy was his grip.
Okay.
That is just either my confidence or arrogance or whatever you call. And so he was working under Jerry as a grip.
Okay.
So I just continued with him as the main cameraman.
So if you have to call out what really stood out in Satya's cinematography, what is that?
I think Satya's cinematography is very, very ordinary. See, cinematography in a kind of it needs to have a definition. Exactly what is it that cinematography is doing? In fact, I will tell you there are scenes in Satya where it is so inconsistent, the photography. Like in the climax scene, when in the wide shots it is drizzling. Okay, it is shot in rainy season, all the crowds, and then we recreated that Govind Namdev scene of one Ganpati, where the action happens, was recreated on Juhu.
Okay.
Main shots were in Chowpatty.
Two different beaches.
So here it was daylight. Daylight means a bright light, and you can see shadows running in some of the shots. And other shots of the white shots are very drizzly and cold and all that, There are times in the attack on Guru Narayan, you can actually see the camera unit shadows in the cars. It is that bad, the photography. Because the picture is worked, people don't realize it.
Right. So
I would say company's photography is far superior.
Yeah,
and of course Sakar.
We'll come to that. I have a lot of questions.
This is very, very functional photography. Yeah.
So did you use a Steadicam for Satya? Or?
Yeah, I did.
So
especially in the beginning shots when that guy after shooting on the scooter runs.
And let's talk about editing. Apurva Asrani, right? He was just 19 when he worked for Satya. So how did you have this knack of hand-picking talent and interesting work to them with a lot of confidence. So what worked between you and Apurva Asrani?
See, Satya was the first time when we use the FPS Avid systems. So before that it was always Streamback. So he was a good operator on that. He understood that machine, which is the only reason I took him. So edit, I'm very, very clear about what I want. So it was edited by two people actually, Banu and Apurva.
Okay.
And Banu was doing the Steambeck type, and it was both of us were used in combination. The whole film was not done in the system.
So Danny Boyle, who made Slumdog Millionaire the Academy winner, he actually claimed that he got the essence of Mumbai by watching Satya and Company. So did you ever meet him? Did you actually? But what do you think would have inspired someone like Danny Boyle?
I mean, I think maybe he just saw the ambience because he's a foreigner, and probably these two were one of the very few films at that time which authentically shot what the Bombay underbelly is. So I think it is more like a reference point, not a reference point for the film, just for him to get a hang of it. Because Slumdog Millionaires got nothing to do with Satya and Company. So
Right.
the locations probably would have, I mean, as a foreigner, he could have been impressed. I don't think it's about the films he was talking about. Yeah.
Excellent. So this was a very insightful discussion on Satya. So this brings us to the end of the discussion on this specific my take on Satya. Next, we'll talk about Company.